Thank you.
Hi everybody. Okay, we're going to make a start here with Kim from Sky Sports News.
Hey Royce.
Hi, how you doing?
Very well, thank you. Just start with any team news ahead of tomorrow's match.
Yeah, pretty much the same squad as we've had. Will Zaha has trained for a few days this week, so we can add him to the squad, which is good. But otherwise, it's fortunately the same group that's been playing these last 4 or 5 games.
And you mentioned Will Zaha there. There are reports that the club have offered him a record-breaking contract to stay here. How important is he to the club, and how important would it be to the club to have him here beyond this year?
Well, that's not my business, of course. I mean, that's club business. If you ask me as a Crystal Palace fan, I would say it's very important to try and keep him, and I'll be more than happy if he decides to stay. But it's certainly outside of my remit, so I'm certain that if you really wanted to know the situation between him and the club, you'd have to speak either to him or to Steve Parish or Doug Freeman.
And it was your first taste of defeat this week in your second spell at the club. How have the players reacted over the last couple of days?
Well, they've reacted well because there are defeats and defeats. You know, there are defeats when you don't play well enough, where you make a lot of errors, that you don't reach anywhere close to what you've tried to reach in the game. And those defeats are very hard to take. And then there's defeats like the one we suffered on Tuesday night, when I thought that we played very, very well, especially latter part of the first half and all through the second half, and were unbelievably unlucky not to get anything from the game. So the reaction required wasn't perhaps quite as drastic as it could have been, but certainly if a reaction was needed in training, we've seen that, and I feel happy enough going into the next game that game is now behind us, and we've taken from that game what we can take from it, and we're ready now to play the next one.
And if you win tomorrow, you'll hit that sort of magic 40-point mark. Is that kind of the message to the players? Win tomorrow and all but secure safety?
I don't think that we talk to them in that way. That's a way of thinking, but we talk to them very much in terms of what's going to be necessary for us to play well in the game and to have a chance of winning the game. So all of our talking is around that side of things, much more than if this happens or if that happens. We do take it that each game has its own story to tell, and we've got to be ready to make certain that the story the game is likely to tell is the one we want to hear.
And just like yourselves, West Ham have hit quite a good run of form the last few games. What type of tactical challenge are you expecting from them tomorrow?
Well, the same sort of tactical challenge, really, I suppose, you expect from most teams in the Premiership. They are a good team, they have good players, they are very well coached and managed, and they have a lot of experience as well, so they know just as well as we do what playing in the Premiership means and what's required in the Premiership if you're going to get something out of the game. So I don't think it's a question of a particular style, it's a question of trying to deal with the good organisation they have and the good quality players that they have, and making certain that we are a match for it, and we in turn can ask them some questions with regard to the play that we put before them.
And just a final one for me. Since you've been back at the club, a lot of the attacking players have really shown some excellent form, particularly Eberechi Eze. I'm just wondering, when you first came in, what did you say to him, and from your personal opinion, how far can he go in the game?
I think he can go far. We thought that 2 years ago when he was signed. I was a part of that moment, if you like, when we identified him and managed to get him to come to the club, and both Doug and I and Steve Parish, then we all thought that we've signed a very good player, and since coming back here I've seen that very good player, and I think how far he goes will depend very much upon himself. He's a very serious professional, he works very hard at this game, so there's no reason for me to believe he won't go far. He certainly wants to go far. But every game, every season, it adds to his experience, and I guess will add also to the quality of his play. So I'm sure he can do very well, and we're very happy with the performance he's been able to give us during the 5 matches we've had, because they've been quite often crucial in enabling us to get a victory.
Thanks, sir.
Pleasure.
Dan from PLP.
Roy, good to see you again. Wolves, you touched on the performance there, the result, defeat, but needing 3 more points, is that just a reminder about to the group what you're still fighting for this season?
I think that any reminders I give to the group shouldn't have to do with points and the number of points we need to stay up. I think the reminder should be that there are 5 matches in the Premiership to play, 5 times 95 minutes. Each one of those minutes could be very, very important. Each one of those games could be very important for various reasons. And there is no reason whatsoever for us at any stage during those 5 games to be guilty of not giving what we've given in each of the 5 matches so far, because there's not been one of those 5 matches which has disappointed me even slightly. I've been in fact quite often more than happy with the way the team's played. So I don't see why I should be expected to have to give messages to the players and concern them with numbers of points. I think the message is going to be very simple. 5 games to go. We've played 5 good ones to date. Let's play another 5 good ones and end the season in a way that we can all be proud of. And let's see what number of points that gives us. But I'm pretty sure that if we do that, we won't have to worry about points for safety and what's going on below us. We'll be able to try and think more about maintaining our current position.
Wilfried Zaha, you previously, I'm not expecting you to give us your starting 11, but I know previously you've said if he's fit, he plays. His importance to you, to the football club, to have him back, just adding to your options for this weekend must be a huge boost.
Oh, it is, absolutely. Absolutely. We're delighted to see him back on the training field, back doing the training sessions and exercises that we've been doing, because for the last couple of weeks we've seen him running around basically trying to bring his fitness up to a level that would enable him to take part in a Premiership match. So I think I talked to you just a minute ago about the need in these next 5 matches to continue to give good performances, and of course you don't want to lose your best players when you're going into those matches. So I'm pretty certain he will give everyone a boost, and I'm certain he will make our team stronger by the fact that he's now back with us, able to play.
Due to West Ham's recent run, pressure's eased on David Moyes. As you know, over the years you and David have had some fascinating tussles, haven't you? What do you, when you think about a David Moyes side, what do you always expect him to come up against?
I know David well. We've been friends for many, many years, even since the time when I was in Udinese in the late 1990s. I expect David Moyes' teams to be the sort of teams that have seen him win the award as Manager of the Year on about 3 occasions. And he wins that award because he manages to get his teams playing in a very organised way, but in a way also that enables them to exert maximum pressure on the opponents and get good results from the work that he does. So we're just talking about a guy who's a very good manager, a very good coach. He has an eye for players, so he brings good players to his club. First Everton and now here. He wasn't at Man United long enough to really influence that. And as a result, when you meet the David Moyes team, you know that today nothing's going to be given to us for free. We're going to have to work very, very hard for everything that we are going to achieve in the game. And we must be very careful, because he'll have organised his team and prepared his team to play against us and to counter any threats that we might have.
Keeping faith in football, as David's spoken about it being crucial to their run, their improvements at West Ham, similar to what you've been doing since your return to Crystal Palace. How important is exactly that, allowing your players, trusting that they can go and express themselves on a Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, these are just expressions, really. I mean, that is what the job is. Basically speaking, you can say it as many times as you like, but the job of a football coach is to prepare his team to be ready to play the game that is likely to be there to be played on Saturday, and to have the confidence that he has everything in his locker that would enable him to play the game that the team wants, that the coach wants, that he wants to do, and know also that by giving him the chance to play in that game, you show faith and trust in his ability, which you hope he's going to have himself, because we can't require a player to be confident. We can't require a player to have confidence and trust in himself. We can only lead him to the water, if you like, but it's always going to be he who will drink from the water.
Funny from myself, how does one best contain Declan Rice?
Well, he's a central midfield player. I mean, the fact that he has a very, very large area of expertise, if you like. You know, he's an all-round midfield player. He defends and he attacks. So I think in every game we play, if you wanted to, you could name one player and say, how are you going to control him? Because there isn't one Premiership team I can think of this season that doesn't have at least one player of that quality. And I think that West Ham certainly have more players that we will need to concern ourselves with about how we're going to stop them. But Declan, of course, is having a wonderful season. He's had a wonderful couple of seasons. I have great admiration for him. And we'll have to work very, very hard when he's on the ball to seal off any spaces he's looking for and to seal off any passes that he's looking for.
Thank you, Alex.
Hi, Roy. It's very tight at the bottom of the Premier League. Teams down there are picking up points. Do you think we could see an unusually high number needed to guarantee safety?
You could, but you know the situation is quite simple. There's 5 matches left to go, and the teams at the bottom to really suggest that we're going to get there. You know, we'll have enough points. They've got to be looking at 10 points from 5 games. I've never taken 10 points from 5 games in any of the teams I've worked at. So mathematically, it's an easy thing to do. What we've got to do is win 3 and draw 2. You know, we can get there, or draw 1. But in my experience, that's not how it's worked. And what's more, you must also remember that the team is down at the bottom. They're fighting for their lives. They haven't taken 10 points sometimes in as many as 10 or 12 games, let alone 5 games. And they play each other. So if I was really one of those people who was paranoid about worrying which points teams would get, I could probably go to bed quite happy at night by working out it's not going to be possible for them. It'll be possible certainly for 2 of them, of the 4 or 5 that are involved, but not possible for 5 of them.
Sam Johnston's been excellent since he's come into the side. He gave away the penalty the other night. I just wondered how he's reacted since then.
Good. I mean, he was sad, of course. I mean, to lose 2-0 was an even harsher result to have to travel back home with. You know, 1-0 wouldn't have been great, but 2-0 was even harsher and even less deserved, I thought. But these things happen. It was the pass back was a bit strong for him. His touch wasn't quite good enough, and then he does what all players do in that situation. We see it in midfield. We see it everywhere. Because the player feels I've made a bit of an error, they try to recover it, and in trying to recover it, sometimes they go too far, and it provoked the penalty. So it was a pity for him, but I would be very surprised if a man of his experiences not shrugged that off by now and put it in that little book that you keep with experiences that you maybe want to learn from, but he won't be putting it in the book that will keep him awake at night and stop him playing well in the next game.
Thank you.
Pleasure.
Thank you. Okay. That's the end of the broadcast section then, thanks.